We're going to try to do this nice.
But we may have to.
But I may need you to kill people.
The K word.
And Spock goes, I understand.
That part bothered you? You can see yourself in him?
Oh,
Thanks for beaming in. This is another episode of Men on Trek. I am Admiral Looks Good in Red Keith, back again with my two faithful captains, maybe. Captain James T. Palpatine and Captain Mark A. Daystrom. Back again for Season 2, Episode 5.
Wow.
Welcome to Season 2, gentlemen.
good to be here.
You know, we talked about that there's 80 episodes, and at the rate that we're doing these, it'd only take us 7 years.
Oh, what else do we have to do?
I wonder if we could get it to a 5-year. Just like 5-year mission to do all the episodes.
And we have to get together a lot more.
Have to be here more and not do jobs so
Burn
much.
a week vacation.
That's
to
burn a week vacation and do like 2 episodes. Oh man, can you imagine what those episodes are going to sound like on day 5?
2 episodes a day.
Yeah.
I think we'd be done with each other. I don't want to see you again.
I don't know how many we could do.
No, not after 40 some odd years of friendship. And
Yeah.
we'll survive it.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready for a little break though from your lovely faces.
Well, let's see. I mean, we range anywhere between like an hour and a half, and I think our longest podcast now has been like 3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, but it takes us.
It depends on how interesting the app is, man.
That's true.
We might have to just break it down for our viewers.
We are more refined now. We do not require 3 hours to express ourselves.
I will tell you that. What's the second pilot?
Menagerie.
Will be 3 hours easy.
We probably have to do
break
it.
that in half because it's 2 parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part 1 and part 2.
Plus, it's such a foundational episode since it was the pilot.
Yeah, the reworking of the pilot.
If we added up all the time that we spent watching the original episodes when we were kids, and then later on as adults, and then you add it to, it's about 5 hours for us to do one of these podcasts to get about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, and then there's another couple post-production hours, so it's about 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think? What's the time invested into each one of these?
Oh man, the kid time is just like, I don't know if it was different when you guys, because I'm a little bit younger than you.
Mm-hmm.
Channel 50 reruns. I was watching Star Trek every week. It came on Saturdays. I was putting in 2 hours a week without fail.
Wasn't it on every day at one point on Channel 50?
I think so.
Yeah.
My recollection was Saturdays when I always watched it. But yeah, I think they did start showing it daily.
Yeah, it was a Trek episode all the time.
And if it was on, I watched it. If I saw it, if I could catch it. Back when you had to actually have the TV on and be present to watch something.
I would say it's probably 20 hours per episode.
Well, we said that. I think I mentioned it before, but when you compare the filming of Trek, which is Desilu, and the sets compared to other sci-fi stuff of the era,
Mm-hmm.
Trek is so far and beyond better than everything else that has come up. Even the later stuff like Space 1999.
Right.
You watch that, it's barely palatable.
It's horrible.
They did have a
that?
majority of British actors though on that, if I remember right.
It was. It was a British production.
Yes. So there was more heavy lifting when it came to the supporting part of it, but I don't know if that's the right way of putting it. But it was
the special effects couldn't carry the show. They had to be bringing it with the acting.
Well, originally Star Trek special effects weren't all that great.
No,
either.
they were groundbreaking for the time. They were really high end, like, oh wow, special effects for the time. They won awards.
That's because people have never seen it before. But the set, the feel of the characters, the stories are far and beyond better than Space 1999 and anything else of that
we made it
generation. And that was Space 1999 was like 2 years later. 10 years later, excuse me.
I like the Eagles.
That's all I liked.
I liked them, but here's what I'm going to tell you: in all of sci-fi fantasy, my favorite ship is still the Enterprise.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Now, some people might argue Millennium Falcon or whatever, but the original Enterprise is still my favorite ship.
Yeah. I mean, if I start breaking it down, because I like the technical aspects of sci-fi. If I start breaking it down into fighters and classes and stuff, I could say something different. But if you just say what's your favorite ship, period, yeah, probably.
They consider the Millennium Falcon a freighter,
Yeah,
but it's too small to carry any real freight.
you can carry freight.
Oh, they say now they use it
They
like
never
a
actually.
tug.
They never showed you. They never
It's a
showed.
tug.
Yeah, it's a tug.
Well, that and they never actually showed you where the freight was. It was in the movie. They never bother with all that. But there is storage capacity for.
I'm
freight.
sure it is, but considered, what we consider.
Well, it's not a
freight.
It's not a cargo container coming out of Hong Kong. No, it's not that. but-
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's not
It
that.
seems too
No.
small to do it,
No.
unless it's tugging something through space. Yeah, I get
So-
that.
Yeah.
But as far as ship, hands down the Enterprise.
Did you guys ever do that exercise?
What's that?
It was like if you could be a starship captain or a master Jedi.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We
earlier.
talked
Did we do
about
that already?
Yeah, we talked about
All right.
that.
You talked about it. I don't know if I've done it.
Yeah.
It's what we would pick, but
Right.
we didn't do the exercise. But and if we started beef with the Space 1999 page, well,
Trek is better.
come at me, bro.
Not
Come at me.
not that I was not a fan of Space 1999. I love the Eagles.
It's like Battlestar
I
Galactica.
love Koenig, the captain,
Yeah.
or the commander.
Commander Conan, yeah.
But it's just not as good as Trek.
No.
No,
It's a good science fiction platform,
well,
but it's not as good as Trek.
what got me going back and revisiting Space 1999 later, what got me was just a lot of the stories were just strange.
The pilot was really strange.
Well, even the pilot, the moon getting blown out of orbit and people surviving that was kind of a little bit like, okay, but as the show goes on, it gets weird. It just gets weird. And
Yeah.
it's like they didn't know where to go with it after they blew the moon out of the solar system.
Right. That's why I said the same thing with Battlestar Galactica. I think Galactica was good because there wasn't really anything else to watch.
Yeah, and that was another.
But I mean, they're going to get to Earth, and then when they got to Earth, I can remember it was bad.
Well, that was the second series, which didn't last 2 seconds. Galactica 80, and it was horrible.
yeah.
Flying motorcycles.
And how many times can you see a Viper chase a Cylon, and the Cylon breaks left, and it's Viper shot, explosion.
And do you know that was groundbreaking special effects for television at the
Yes, it
time?
was.
And
They
it was
used
a
ILM,
It was
didn't they?
it was
It was
$1
$1 million an episode.
Yeah.
That's why they kept reusing all those shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 million. It was one of the most expensive TV shows ever at the time.
They just sold the full scale Galactica, I think, at auction.
The production model.
Yeah. Some guy probably paid $500,000 for it or more.
All right, so on to the greatest show on earth.
You're not talking about this circus, are you?
No, I'm not talking about Barnum and Bailey. I'm talking about Trek.
All right. Let's see. Where were we?
Taste of Armageddon.
Taste of Armageddon. Originally aired
Taste it.
February 23rd.
Taste it. It's Kirk said, taste it. How's it taste to you?
Let me
Taste it. Taste it.
let me
taste it.
get the particulars out of the way before you jump in. February 23rd, 1967, original air date. It was season 1, episode 23 or episode 24 if you're counting it on Netflix because they
Right.
count the pilot.
Yep.
So don't fight with me about that either.
Mhm.
Oh, and here we are, season 2, episode 5, celebrating 55 years of Star Trek, gentlemen.
Yes.
A little round. Yay. 55 years of Star Trek. Star Trek's been on since before I was born.
That's one of us.
Yeah, the only one of us.
That's only one of us.
And the room falls
So
silent.
what was the month that it aired?
February?
The first episode?
Yeah,
Oh man.
February 65.
Think so. Yeah.
It's older than me.
Think so.
Older than me by a couple of months.
Beat you?
Yep.
Yeah. So you sitting there with your bottle in your mouth watching Star Trek?
I was a toddler.
No, I just appeared on the earth. I just beamed down.
You just beamed down?
Mhm.
Oh, hey. Welcome. Welcome to A Taste of Armageddon. Yeah. And hey, not only can you click like and subscribe here on YouTube, you can find us on Instagram.
Mhm.
can find us on the gram.
Ooh.
Ooh. Come out to the gram and give me a heart.
You guys haven't tweeted yet?
No.
No.
Well, somebody's got to fall on that grenade. It won't be me. One of you guys got to tweet.
I think it is you.
No.
I think it is you.
No.
I think if we look at grenades jumped on and division of labor, I think it's time for you to tweet, Tweety.
See, to use some references back when we were kids. So if we were Charlie's Angels, you're the Farrah Fawcett.
Because you're sitting there looking pretty.
That's right. You're the pretty one.
So open up that MOT Twitter account.
That's right. MOT.
You brought it up. You got the job.
No.
Oh yeah. So
Captain Daystrom at Twitter.
catch it. I am great. I am great at Twitter.com.
I am great. You are not
You
great
are not great.
at Twitter.com.
Let's get into this.
We are into it.
Taste of Armageddon.
Mm-mm.
This is, I would not say this is a Captain episode, but it is a Kirk episode.
Yes.
As far as like you get to see a side of him that's rather enjoyable as far
Yeah.
as I was concerned.
Yeah.
He seems morally outraged
Oh yeah.
in the episode.
Yeah, he makes
Yeah.
a decision early on.
Yeah, he's morally outraged by what transpires.
What jumped in my head, and you brought it out when we were watching it. No stinking prime directive to get in my way this time. Kirk was just like elated that he could go ahead and put the kibosh to this foolishness.
Yeah.
That's how it came off.
Yep.
So, for the two of you that have never seen this episode that are listening to this, first of all, go out and catch up on your Star Trek. Get with the program. And second of all, the Enterprise is on its way to a planet. And where's my notes?
Star Cluster
NGC 321, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's
Star
the
Cluster.
That's the Star Cluster.
Aminiar 7.
The planet Aminiar 7.
Mm-hmm.
The Admiral's slipping. Got my planet name offline.
Mm-hmm.
On their way to Aminiar 7, carrying a diplomat named Robert Fox, who was supposed to open up diplomatic relations with the inhabitants of the planet in hopes of establishing what sounded like a starbase. He just called it a port, but sounds like he's trying to make negotiations to establish a starbase. Rundown on the planet is they are comparable technological society. They've had space travel for several centuries, although they haven't ventured far away from their home system. And they have been at war with a neighboring planet for a long time.
You know, it's interesting. The ambassador or diplomat, whatever he is, Robert Fox. It sounds like this is a rough neighborhood because he says there's been thousands of lives lost in this quadrant or whatever he was defining it.
The war, he was talking about the war between the two planets, the interplanetary war.
No, I thought he was saying that there was losses in Starfleet in this area.
Yeah. I didn't get from him that he knew about the interplanetary war. He just understood that there was a lot of loss of life in this area.
I attributed it to the
Yeah, you know that by what goes on in the episode.
No. When he in the opening line when they're talking about it, I'm pretty sure he was specifically talking about the planet. But
I thought he was saying that it's a rough neighborhood and Starfleet has lost a lot of people in this area.
Sector.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have our good Captain Daystrom confirm. This is a couple things that jumped out at me. This is a Gene L. Coon teleplay. I tend to be a big Gene L. Coon fan.
Yep.
I think he really made the original series kind of what it was for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Things I really love about it. So they're moving into the area, and as they approach the planet, they talk about another Federation ship was lost in the area, listed as missing, the USS Valiant. And the Valiant had contacted the same people on the same planet, but then they were not heard from after making contact.
Right.
And as the Enterprise approaches the planet, they receive a signal to not approach under any circumstances.
Quarantine planet.
Well, first Kirk sends a message telling them we're coming,
Right.
a message.
Salutations.
Yeah, that we're coming, and then they receive a response saying, "No, you don't." And
Do not approach.
And another Vulcan on the bridge.
Yeah.
I never saw that before. There was a blue-shirted Vulcan over by the Communications Council.
Well, Spock said some of his boys were Vulcans.
Some of his operatives. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a guy, and he's there. He's on the bridge the whole episode. He's in there. He's there in the background. He doesn't disappear.
Code 710 is what they call it. So.
Code 710, do not approach the planet.
Under no circumstances.
And Fox is not familiar with the code, and Kirk explains it to him, but Fox is determined, and he says he has the authority to make it an order. He says he can take command of the ship.
So what Fox says is over the last 20 years, there have been thousands of lives lost in this quadrant.
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bad neighborhood.
So it's not about the planet.
No, it's a bad
it's in
neighborhood.
the star quadrant.
Yep, it's a bad neighborhood.
I took it to be a reference to the loss of life in the war. But
This is East Side stuff.
So in the last 20 years, there's been thousands of lives lost in this quadrant, and Fox is going to the planet to help try to set up a star base or give the rights for the Federation
to have a presence in the
to
area.
have a presence to bring all this lawlessness under control. Because Starfleet ain't about you doing what you want to do in space.
Unless it meets up with their agenda.
That's right.
Hey, we've all got an agenda, right?
The totalitarians, man. Starfleet, you can't do what you want to do in space.
Nope.
They're not totalitarians. They just want a little order.
Okay.
A little order.
Okay.
We heard that before.
Okay.
Order.
Earth, 1937.
That was all I want is peace.
No, that's
Peace spelled with an I.
No, we need a little breathing room.
This is the very reason we need to do the hippie episode.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, brother. Hey, brother.
I don't think Jim hasn't recovered from talking about hardcore Fenton Mud yet. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's ready.
I still think we need a guest for the next mud.
Starfleet they're not having it. They're not having it. You causing us to lose ships. We getting complaints in your quadrant. We coming down to your planet and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Y'all better act right around this neighborhood.
As we will find out later in this episode, Starfleet is about the greater good.
Starfleet is a bunch of cops, and they not letting you do it.
No, this is the Federation.
Yeah, this is a Federation.
This is the Federation.
So
the Federation is saying, I don't care that they don't want us there. We're coming.
Right. So some Karen called the Federation and they said, send Fox out there, get James T out there, and break a foot off in that planet and bring them back under control.
Yep. Somebody parked on her moon and she called the cops.
Yep. Hey.
Because, it's not like they could just avoid the quadrant.
Did she beam? Did she beam?
That would be too right.
Did somebody beam down? She said, do you live here? Are you authorized to be here?
Let me speak to your diplomat.
In your starship. Are you authorized?
So Starfleet sends Fox, an ambassador.
I'm offended by your gold shirt, Captain.
An ambassador to Amini R7 to try to get control over the quadrant or to bring
to establish a Starfleet presence.
Right, to bring the lawlessness in the quadrant down.
Order.
Now we find out later in the episode why it's probably so many people being lost.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a premise of not just establishing communications, because when Amini R7 says code 1710, we don't want you here.
Right. Fox overrides it.
Right. Kirk is like, okay, we can't enter into Amini's space.
Yeah, he's going to abide by it.
And Fox is like, I'm overruling you. We're
going here no matter what.
We're going to their planet no matter what they say.
He even takes it far enough and says, my mission gives me the authority to assume command
of the ship.
And yes. I'm taking that authority. You're going to go there. You're going to go into orbit.
And you're going to do what I want you to do.
You're going to do what I want you to do.
And Kirk's not having it as would be natural. I've been told by a society who's on par technologically with us.
A sovereign nation.
That they don't want us to come here. And you going to bogart anyway, which is going to put my ship in danger.
Right.
They say they don't. I'm knocking on their door, and they say no, and you want us to kick the door in anyhow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how trade was. That's how trade was established in Japan in the old days.
Well, this is not Japan, but it's just the point. There is no utopia view that's perfect.
No, there's still quite a bit of conflict in Star Trek.
Still,
I mean,
that's why they have phasers and photons on the ship.
yes. Yeah.
Yep.
No, everybody's not sitting around singing Kumbaya by any stretch.
And this is something that A Taste of Armageddon really points out. And it's a great episode. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Admiral.
What? You're on a roll. Fight the power. Tell us about it. No. So, as we stated, they go into orbit on the planet in any event, and more plugs for the remaster. There's some gorgeous
Yes.
shots of the Enterprise all through this episode. It's just
Probably more than any other episode.
so far, yeah. It's pause worthy. You wanna just appreciate it. Take a moment, appreciate it.
I wonder if somebody's already done it, or if they haven't. I wish they would. You know how like they take video games and they just take the video segments and they put them together so you can watch it as a movie.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's done it.
I'd like to see. Like,
I'm sure that's just a search away.
Yeah, just the remastered Enterprise flying
You
for
got
an
the
hour.
software.
Somebody on YouTube. He's not doing all that work. Somebody on YouTube.
That's why we got Lieutenant Commander Arthur for.
We don't have him today, so don't put it in your mind. Yes, Lieutenant Commander Arthur had more important things to do.
He got
than
another assignment from
that.
the
Yeah,
Starfleet headquarters.
the Federation told him to get his degree,
Get it.
get his degree so he can be a captain. But we do miss him. So they approach the planet despite the warning, enter into orbit, and Kirk decides, hey, this is sketchy. I'm going to beam down with security, check the place out before I let this diplomat come in.
Right.
And Kirk gets 2 large red shirts. and
Lieutenant Galway.
our good boy Galway, which we didn't catch it before, but Galway appeared in several episodes before meeting his demise in Omega Glory.
Murdered
By
Captain
Tracy.
When they break hard.
Yeah. You got some Tracy in you there. don't you? You got the look of I see it in your eyes. You're just one bad day away from.
Now,
You're just one bad day away.
now I can say, Admiral, that Galway was one of my favorite red shirts. What
Wow.
are your thoughts about him?
Oh, Galway was the epitome of a red shirt. He was huge. He was ready to rock the phaser. He was ready to get it done, and he handles his business in this episode. He sure enough handles his business in this episode, and he makes it all the way into when was Omega Glory season? Was it late season 1 or season 2?
I don't know. We just did it. I don't know. But
Let me go to the back. But in any event, Galway's there, and what we thought was cool about that was that not every character. There's quite, as we go back through it and we revisit it, a lot of characters were not just fly-by-night one-off characters, but they appeared over and over again until, at some point they left the series or they disappeared. And I just thought that was a cool thing that Galway was there. And it makes me wonder what other episodes he appeared in that we haven't revisited yet.
What's interesting here, Kirk sets his ship on yellow alert.
right.
And he
Just
gets
as a
together,
precaution,
he
yeah.
gets together his team, and Fox wants to beam down. He goes, "No, I'm not letting you beam down until I make sure it's safe."
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been told not to come here,
Right.
and I'm gonna make sure whatever we're going to beam down into is safe for you.
Right. And that's reasonable.
Fox is not happy, but it is what it is.
Yeah, Fox just wants to steamroll this forced diplomacy. He wants to make this happen, and he figures once I get down there and start talking, it's a done deal.
Diplomacy by Phaser Bank.
Yeah,
Montgomery Scott.
yeah, yeah. So Kirk and let us not forget. I don't know if she would count it as the security detail, but Yeoman Tumula beams down with them.
I don't think she's a security detail, but she's holding the tricorder. Spock's not holding the tricorder this time.
Yeah, and maybe she's just there to record the negotiations, as maybe she's functioning as Kirk's yeoman.
I think she's there to scan what's going on because Kirk is not just down there to check out the people.
Yeah,
I think he's checking out defenses and power supplies and all this other stuff. I believe she's some sort of engineer, and she's there to
See, I took
do an
it.
assessment.
I took it because of who else Kirk took down with him. I took it that she did have a security background and she was there to assess, like you said, to assess their capabilities and whatnot. But I don't think she was just a random like yeoman who takes a message kind of situation. I think she had a security background.
I think she's like a tactical officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And of course, our boy Spock.
And for those who don't know, that our admiral says she's the Uwe of the week.
She is. I'm bypassing all other individuals that appeared in this episode, and I'm saying Yeoman Tamula is. Ooh.
And she's technically a Bond girl too, right?
See,
No, she was in Mannix.
no, she was on James Bond too.
She
You
was
said
in Bond.
so. You said so.
She wasn't like
Oh,
a
I made a
lead
mistake.
Bond girl, but she was
Made a
in.
mistake?
She was in a Bond film.
You bona fide. You gave her bona fides that she did not have. You
No,
took.
I looked her up. I thought that was a Bond film, but it was in Mannix, and she did some other stuff with
Burt
Burt
Reynolds
Reynolds.
and-
So she was definitely a big time
She's pretty
Hollywood
pretty
girl.
well established in the 60s, 70s.
Hollywood girl.
Yeah.
American Japanese actress. So she's definitely on that level to make it into various movies. So
Right.
Yeah.
So
she's not a 5.
we know. No, not at all. So if you're out there,
She's kind of the photo negative of Maya 3, though.
yes.
When you think about it.
Yeah. Maya 3, who was intended, I think, to be the Uwe in this
Well, when
episode.
Maya 3 appears, you get the Kirk Lovey-Dove music.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
The Kirk approval music.
But I didn't approve, so don't look at me. I'm not doing it. I'm not. No, I know what you're looking at me for, Captain. You're thinking, shouldn't you do that? No, I'm not doing it because I didn't approve. No, I did not approve. No, she doesn't get it.
All
She
right.
doesn't get it.
All right.
You know who gets it? If I'm giving out, if I'm playing music, it's gonna be for.
But yeah, I never really thought of it because, like you said, we were mostly children when we watched it, and not until we started doing MOT, Men on Track, that breaking apart the episode, how forceful the Federation is.
Oh yeah,
They're coming to your planet, and Fox is like, "We're going to set up a base, a starport or something here."
he's not forcing that, but he's forcing the conversation for sure. He's forcing the conversation for sure.
So
He's-
one thing
He's there to do one
Yeah,
thing.
one thing is brought up is this is a space-faring race, and they've had space flight for, it says, for centuries, and they never really went beyond their solar system.
Yeah, they've stayed home primarily.
So they do have ships,
Yeah, something.
and they're on par.
They said that, but as the episode plays out, considering what they could and could not do to the Enterprise, I don't think so.
Well, those are planetary defenses. You're right. I don't know why they wouldn't, if they had a fleet, why they wouldn't have deployed it.
Well, as we go through the episode, we see that they haven't really had war for over 500 years, so they might have lost some of their capability.
Maybe,
Yeah.
but just
You know, have had it. It would be like if the United States or Earth had dismantled all their nuclear missiles and something happened, and then you're building back up again. You had the opportunity or the capability, but you don't have it right now.
It's like post-war Japan.
Yep.
yeah.
Or what, post World War I, where
No.
most of the world's fleets got decimated.
No, World War I, the losers, Germany, got limits put on them and what they could have. But there were post-war agreements about tonnage on ships that would be built that everybody violated.
That's what I'm talking
that
about.
everybody violated later. But
Yeah, I bet you that's part of this agreement is that they weren't allowed to build real weapons.
real weapons, yeah.
Right.
So they
That's
have
probably true.
they have the technology and the knowledge to do it,
Right.
but they
But
don't
they have
have
not
any.
done it.
They don't have any
They
ships.
don't have any.
No.
They have not done it.
No. And I'm wondering, 500 years ago, would that ship be any match for the Enterprise?
Well,
no way.
Well, they
No way.
they lost the Valiant. We don't know how many years
oh,
ago
that was 50,
it
50 years
ago.
prior.
50 years prior.
But the Valiant,
That's a survey ship, maybe.
it was, yeah, they described it as a survey team. They didn't say the Valiant was a starship necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but
The Valiant was one of the names of the Constellation class ships, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was a Constitution class. It is a name that is in canon. So memory alpha jockeys Save me some time. Tell me if the Valiant was a Constitution class starship or not in the comments. Somebody's got to look it up anyway.
All right, let's move on.
But Kirk and company, Kirk, Spock and company beam down to the planet. They are met by Anan 7 and his party. Anan is called the councilman. He seems to be the leader of the planet.
Well, they meet
Me at 3 first.
They meet the supposed Uwe of
I see. I forgot.
The Valiant was a galactic survey cruiser in Star Trek and gives the vessel the registry NCC
Little ship.
S1104.
Yeah,
So the S must stand for survey.
40 people,
Little ship.
40 some odd people, just like Bread and Circuses
Yeah.
survey
The
ship.
Beagle.
And it was a Charleston class starship.
Probably the same type of ship the USS Beagle was.
Yeah. Vulnerable.
Not a massive starship.
No, not a.
But wait a second. It says
a battle
so there is the SS Valiant, but then there's the Starship Valiant, and that was the one where No Man goes before,
They
where
got lost trying to penetrate the
penetrate
barrier.
the barrier, and then
They find the recorder log.
The recorder log. That was
Yeah.
the Starship Valiant.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So
They meet me at 3.
tip, don't get assigned to the Valiant.
Yeah.
Tip.
Well, no, it
Don't-
sounds like a pretty
Yeah.
cool ship name.
You heard it from the Admiral. Don't get assigned to the
Of
Valiant.
course, the men of Men on Trek are always available to write a new series for television or movies featuring the Valiant.
As long as you last.
That's right.
Because if the artistic merit validates it, we will get rid of you.
All
That's
right,
right.
let's get back on track, Men on Track.
No. Anyway, yeah, they meet this person
Mia 3, and
Mia
she,
3.
Who takes them
takes them to
to
Anan
Anan
7.
7. Yeah. See how that worked?
But she stops him in the hallway and said, "Listen,
I really wish you hadn't come.
you weren't supposed to come here,
Right.
and just to let you know that there's a lot going on." And Kirk's like, "Well, okay, well let's."
Yeah, she tells them they're in grave danger and they
Yeah.
shouldn't be here and they're endangering themselves and their ship.
So you have been warned.
Have been warned.
Mm-hmm.
And you're mad because they're violating their sovereignty to begin with, right, Captain? You're unhappy about that.
Well, it took me aback that
Really?
Kirk is now forced to violate.
So we're really getting into here. Because this happened over a couple episodes. Your childhood happy place of remembering the Federation is all like, yay, we're nice people. It's getting torn up.
Oh yeah, it's been eroded.
It's getting burned up, isn't it?
It's been eroded. That's why I said we need to do the hippie episode because
Is that your happy places, Captain?
We're gonna have to do. We got to do that episode just so we can get past this.
Yeah. Is that your happy places, Captain?
Mhm.
so the
See, you're locking us into what we got to do now, right? You're locking us in.
let's keep rocking and rolling. So they take him. He's taken to Anan 7.
The council.
The council.
The
It's taken
council.
before the council.
5 guys sitting on
and
rolling
while-
office chairs.
And while they're there, an attack happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fusion bombs.
Teleported over their targets.
That's
Or
right.
beamed over their targets.
Yep.
When they said that, I was like, man, that sounds pretty wicked. You're transporting weapons.
Yeah.
You're transporting
Yeah.
weapons onto target.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, there'd be no defense against that unless you could block the transporter beam.
Yeah.
Well, first thing Anan 7 does is he reiterates that they shouldn't have come down, that this is a dangerous situation, and for them.
And Kirk says, "We're here to establish diplomatic relations," and he goes, "That's impossible."
Oh.
He said, "Can you tell me why?" He goes, "Because we're at war."
Because we're at war. And he says that 1 to 3 million people per year, civilians are dying in this war.
For
That's-
500 years.
Those are not military casualties.
Right. For 500 years.
For 500 years. And the enemy planet is Vindicar, which is a colony planet that broke away from them.
Right.
So they're fighting themselves. They're fighting their own people. It's not like there's Gorns up there or something.
Man, them pesky colonists.
Yeah, they always want independence after they get
I
up
wonder
there.
the Brits are mad at us.
Oh, yeah. My favorite 4th of July T-shirt. Happy Treason Day. My favorite 4th of July
Don't
T-shirt.
start a colony. They always break away.
Do you remember those British Airways commercials? I think they were in the 70s or the 80s, and this distinguished British gentleman, and he goes, "Please come back to England. All is forgiven."
I went to school with a girl from England, and
Did she watch your color television too?
no, she didn't come to
Okay.
she didn't
All
come to my house. But like, don't start with me, Mister.
Okay, sorry.
Your 120-inch television that we watch Star Trek on. But yeah, she would get there are apparently some people that are somewhat salty about that
Yeah,
still.
can understand.
A little bit. Just a touch. If you're like, 42nd removed from the Queen or something like that, I think it still matters to you.
I'd be mad too if you were my wallet and you revolt. I can't get tax
Your
money
wallet,
off you.
your wallet starts biting you.
Yeah, I can't get tax revenue off of you anymore.
Mhm.
Hey,
How dare you throw my tea into the ocean?
how dare you tax my tea?
And Kirk says, boy, if you're at war, you hide it pretty well. And then he
Yeah,
goes,
he said-
Spock. And Spock says,
We detect no
yeah,
No explosion.
no radiation. nothing.
enemy attack.
There's a technology tier here that's pretty funny in this scene. First, Kirk just looks at Spock and goes, "What are those super ears picking up?"
Mhm.
Spock says, "There's no explosions." Then he goes, "Tricorder? Nope. Enterprise? Nope. Everything's good. No weapons have been deployed." Kirk looks at him and goes, "Dude, what kind of war is this?"
That's right.
But as you said, the one young lady, number 3,
Maya.
Maya,
Average 3.
talks about
Uninteresting. 3.
transporting bombs via a
Via
transporter
transporter.
into the atmosphere or over cities and blowing them up or letting the bomb explode. That's devastating.
Fusion bombs.
There's no way to stop it other than some type
Unless
of
you
shield
can
or
block the beam. Yeah.
can
You'd
block the
you'd
beam.
have to have Starship type
So
shield.
think of intercontinental ballistic
Ballistic missiles.
missiles without the missile.
Beamed into position. Yeah.
Mhm.
The bomb just appears
200
and boom.
200 megaton
Oh
MERV.
man, that's devastating.
200 megaton MERV appears at perfect altitude over your city in an instant and goes off.
And nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it. And what I got out of that is nobody flinched at the thought of it, which means that's a thing in Star Trek. When we talked about it on Arena, how horrible war in Star Trek would actually be, because they kind of looked at him like, well, yeah, you can do that, but it just didn't happen. That just didn't happen. Nothing happened. We
Right.
scanned and nothing happened. Everything's peaceful. Everything's lovely. And he looks at him and he says, no, 500,000 people just died. He's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then he goes, and then Anon 7 goes, well, no. They're the computer said they're dead and they have 24 hours to report
Well,
to.
you missed the part where they looking at the screen and they see a flash on the blue screen.
Well, that's after this.
Oh, okay.
That's after this. He said there's 500,000 dead and they have 24 hours to report to the booths, to the disintegration booths. And they're all looking at him like, you're nuts. What are you talking about? And he explains their war.
Right.
And well, Spock jumps in, having kind of extrapolated what's going on. He says it's all being done by computer. And Kirk's kind of like, you guys are crazy. What do you're just tabulating deaths and people are willingly being killed. And
Captain Palpatine's right. The second explosion takes place before all that
Oh.
conversation.
because I don't think they tell him what it is until after the fact.
No, but he's talking to one of the guys on the council or one of the operatives, and he goes, "Look, it happened just like it did 50 years ago."
Yeah,
he
yeah.
goes, "Well, we knew it could happen. That we told them not to come." And then he tells him later, when he tells him, there's been massive casualties and 500 million dead, and he said
500,000
500,000
Yeah.
for that one attack. For that one attack.
500,000, yeah. And he says, and I'm sorry, your ship has been destroyed by a tri-cobalt satellite explosion. So, yeah.
You had to try a Cobalt satellite?
The Vendicarians?
Yes, the Vindicarians.
Vendicarians do.
Yeah, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirk's like baffled.
Yeah, he's like,
He
what is this?
He calls Scotty. Hey, what's going on? Anything going on? You scanning? Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. And Kirk's like, well, what the heck are you people doing?
Yeah, and Anon 7 explains, he says, we've been at war for 500 years. No society could survive that. And we've come up with a solution to preserve our society and our culture. And he's like, don't you understand? This is we're at war, and this is the only way to not lose everything, essentially. And that's when Spock goes, I get what you're saying. And the 9/7's like, well, I'm glad you agree with me. And Spock says, I understand. I don't agree.
That's right. Yeah.
And they're just looking and like what you were bringing out earlier, Jim, is Kirk's already like, no, this isn't happening. We're not playing this game
because it's an enabling of the carnage.
Yes.
No buildings get knocked down.
No consequences.
There's consequences. People die,
but no material.
There's no disruption of the society as a whole. Right. It's like Thanos. That's what came to my mind was a snap.
Snap.
Each time this happens, you get a snap. People just disappear.
Yeah.
But they don't just disappear. They have to walk. They have to walk to the disintegration booth.
It's just down the street.
Willingly. And then another thing came to my mind is Logan's Run.
Right. Carousel.
Deep
I'm not going willingly.
Carousel.
They probably got a police force to hunt down those cats.
They're called Sandman.
Well,
remember the Sandman?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what in this episode, and there's other instances we'll get into it later that really made me think about it. That's the only reason these security guys that a 9/7 has would exist.
Well, listen, I will tell you that it's not that after 500 years, because you're talking 20 generations, it's not hard to get people to walk in and do something like that in 20 generations
They're
later.
Conditioned to.
But I'd like to have seen what it took to get the first people.
I'm not.
Because they were throwing dead bodies into those disintegrators in the beginning.
Day one. You have to go in the booth.
No.
You got to track me down.
That's
buddy.
right.
Who online believes, if you're listening to this, who believes in the good of society so much that you'd step into the disintegration booth?
And another thing comes to mind. Hold on. Another thing comes to mind. You only need the numbers. Yeah. You don't have to be me. I can find somebody.
Well, that's what we said. We said if you're in the whatever she called it, the
council,
the council building,
the council chambers. Yeah.
That has to be immune, because if the fusion bomb went there and destroyed the computers, technically they wouldn't be able to continue the charade. So what you want to do is work hard in life so that you work in the that building.
You too can be a council member.
That's right.
Chances of being disintegrated?
I'm going to be one of the programmers, and it's never going to come up on where I am. And if it does come up, all I need is somebody to fulfill my quota. And I'm gonna grab the nearest guy.
I wonder if you could buy passes.
Oh, I bet you can.
Yeah,
no.
I bet you can. The rich can do anything.
Yeah.
No. Public service announcement in case you didn't catch up on it.
But Maya gets
Captain
that kind of destroys our. I'm sorry, that kind of destroys our theory. I was just thinking because Maya is in there and she gets hit.
She bought into the Kool-Aid though.
Okay.
But he's right. She was declared dead.
She was a Kool-Aid drinker.
She was in the room though.
She was in the room when the attack came.
She was declared dead from the attack, and she was in the room.
Oh, so ain't no way I'm going. I'm not. I wasn't in the spot. I'm not.
So public.
That's interesting.
Public service announcement.
So it must have hit where her house was or something.
No. However it tabulates, the attack hit in the city they were in,
and they just randomly pick people.
And however it tabulates, it called her dead, and she was in the room with them.
Yeah.
And when we were initially having that conversation, for me, when a 9/7 said, I disintegrated my wife yesterday, my wife went to the booth yesterday, I was like, if that'll happen to the president, so to speak, it's like, no, there's no getting out of this. I mean, you guys reasoned that they're in the chambers and that shouldn't be hit, but I said, no, the first lady of the planet.
Well, she's just first lady. She's not important.
There you go.
She's important to him, but not to the government.
Damage control.
Where is it? Where is it? Shame. So let the record show that Captain Dystrom's service record will never reflect self-sacrifice as a cause of death.
I'm like James T. I don't believe in the no-win scenario.
Yeah.
I'm fighting for every scrap, baby.
William Shakespeare. We know. But
that's just interesting, man.
Well, but that's what makes it so intriguing, because it's
It's sanitized.
It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent to our minds. We can't even contemplate your number coming up on a tabulator. You know, this thing spits out your name and you just willingly go get in a booth and get incinerated.
I can see protesters going, "It's not fair. The governing people don't die. It's not fair."
But
I can just see them.
But they do.
They probably have their own little autonomous zone. We don't accept bombings here.
See,
It's probably like remember in Dragon Slayer? Remember the Disney movie?
yeah,
Which was a rough Disney movie.
Yes.
that's when Disney got serious. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there's baby dragons eating a
Yep.
Yeah.
Eating
girl
on
in
the
that.
girl.
Yeah.
but
the sacrifice.
the lots that went in to be drawn.
Yes.
So there's probably some sort of
Computer.
computer that.
Well, it was all run by computer.
That picks people.
But I'm saying it's probably more of a lottery than it is
Yes.
an impact area.
No.
Like the impact area says, okay, in this area there's 100,000 people. Okay, so 100,000 people have to die. Now they go to the lottery and it randomly generates the numbers.
So it's not like you got a chip in you and it's tracking you and say, okay,
You were in the vicinity when
you
it
were
hit,
in the
yeah.
vicinity because she wasn't
Right.
in the vicinity.
right.
You know what hit me when they were explaining how it worked? These jokers are playing Battleship
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and they're killing people. They're killing people. Hit C5. You sank my battleship, and they killed.
Because don't live in a city.
That-
I mean, if you think about it, if I wanted to escape this, don't live in the city.
But the random number
The
generator,
random
that
numbers will get you.
the random number generator that decides where the bomb hit is going. Your number's coming on.
And the bully boys with the gold hats will come knocking on your door.
yeah, the shark fin boys.
Yep.
Those
Sandman here.
they kind of look the colors.
Logan. You're beyond you got the red, they got a little red palm.
You're 30.
Your numbers come up.
But yeah, that was the thing that got me about it. Is it really is everybody's up for grabs, and this society has been so conditioned that if your number comes up, you just head on down to the disintegration station and step right in. No way.
So Anon 7 comes out and he explains all this to Kirk, and Kirk's like he's flabbergasted. And this is why I say that he's morally outraged.
Yeah,
He's like,
he rejects this.
What the
he rejects
heck
this
are
immediately.
you people doing?
Right.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
You've gone beyond the mirrorverse. You've got disintegration booths. I mean, and these people are willingly walking to the disintegration booth to be fried.
like you talked about remembering from when you were a kid. You talking about remember when you were a kid? I don't remember being. I understood the concept. I knew what they were doing, but I don't remember being disturbed by the scene where the husband and wife are saying goodbye and she steps in and then they hit the button and she's gone and then he steps in while they're watching. And when we watched it again today, I was just like, ooh. It's like, ooh, that's.
Well, it just goes to show you that if
Terrible.
somebody is willing to do something and it looks as though that they're not being forced into it, people are okay with it. I mean, that was the whole premise of why they were able to do this. If they were crying and the guards had to drag them apart from each other, and then, the person's like somebody does later on towards the end,
Right.
and he's got his hand up against it. And he's like,
like,
I'm
don't
not
put-
going out.
don't
I
put
can't.
me in
I'm
that
not-
thing."
Put me in there. But the way that they did it, where it's just sort of like, give me a kiss, step in, boom, boom.
It's culturally acceptable. It is your responsibility for, as Admiral Redshirt said, for the good of the society,
Right.
for you to go in and be disintegrated.
Right.
And you willingly
Kind of like.
go in and get fried.
Kind of like.
Now we look at it, but it is not as barbaristic as if a bomb actually blew up and half the buildings
Well,
collapsed.
like you
and
said,
you're
it's
pulling
very
bodies out.
antiseptic,
It's antiseptic.
and that
It's
would
very
make it
cleaned up.
very cleaned up. And this is from 1967, but there's a message
And-
there.
Right, but when you make things
Easy.
easier,
When you take the pain out,
you take the pain out,
yeah, and the cost.
things continue to go that way.
Yes. Yeah.
There's still a cost. People are still dying.
Right. But they've been convinced that this is the optimum solution rather than a more destructive.
So when
Path.
when the husband and wife are standing there, And she walked in. Our first thought came to my mind, okay, you can go down the street and get you another one.
Oh.
But then he was next.
Yeah.
That part bothered you? You could see yourself in him?
No,
Better hit that. You better hit that.
About that?
but it's so antiseptic. And like I said, when Kirk is dealing with Anan, the outrage about this.
Yeah, he's mad.
That your people are just willingly, with smiles on your face,
Going to their deaths?
Walking to their deaths?
Yeah, it's
Well, I
outrageous.
think the other thing is that it's clear that, excuse me, that the authority there is not dedicated to finding a peaceful way of ending this. He's dedicated to continuing killing his own people. And that's where I think Kirk is like, your job as a leader is to find a solution. And Anan is saying the solution is to continue doing the killing.
There is no solution.
We've made it acceptable for the killing to continue.
The wholesale killing of people.
Other than to eat what crow we need to solve the problem.
Yeah.
We just hate them and they hate us, and we found a way for them to die and for us to die.
Well, it's even
without us coming together and solving the problem.
Yeah, his statement's almost worse than that, because he's almost just saying, you know, we've given up talking a long time ago. Just peace is impossible.
Right.
You know, it's not even hatred at this point. It's just kind of they're going through the motions, and that makes it worse somehow. And in the midst of all this, they inform them that the Enterprise has been destroyed.
Right.
And frankly tells them your entire crew has to beam down and report to the disintegration booths.
Yeah.
And Kirk's like, you're smoking dope. It's not happening. So at which point they're all immediately arrested. And then, give Anan 7 points for being like the tricky villain of the week.
Okay.
Because they cut to the Enterprise. Scotty's got the con, thank goodness.
Scotty's ship, remember?
Yeah, Scotty's ship.
Kirk's just borrowing it for 5 years.
They cut to the Enterprise. Scotty's there. And the captain calls from the planet and says, Scotty, it's all good down here. Everything's fine. We're well on our way to an agreement. And in fact,
everybody get down here.
Shore leave's been arranged for the entire crew.
That's right.
We're not leaving anybody behind. In fact, we're going to beam up
trained Armenians
to man the ship while we party.
That's ludicrous.
And I think that's where you blew it.
Well, you know what? Listen, another reinforced view of why Scotty is who Scotty is.
Yes.
I mean, he's immediately, he walks over to the computer and says, analyze that voice. Is that a fake? And the computer's like 99% it's a fake.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, there you go. They've got him,
Yeah, he's talking to McCoy, though.
Yeah.
He's talking to McCoy.
Conversation with McCoy, and they got our people.
Right. He immediately figures it out. And, when they cut back to them, they take some precautions. But meanwhile, back down on the planet, our party has been locked in a room. It's a really nice cell. I mean, it's got some nice furniture, and it's a nice
they're not
cell.
barbarians.
It's nice.
A cage by any other name.
Yeah. But the return. Actually, this is not the return of Count Spocula. This is the beginning of Count Spocula. This is the beginning of Count Spocula, because this episode is before. This episode is before Omega Glory. Kirk, and what kills me is Kirk just looks at Spock like, you ready? Kirk, they're sitting in there like, well, how do we get out, Captain? And something you pointed out, when they first arrest the party, Galloway and the other security guy go for their phasers like, oh, we can handle this right now.
Yep.
We can take care. We can handle this business right now. I'd kind of like to see that. Cut the security guys loose and let them handle some business.
Yeah.
But they don't. They surrender. But then they're talking it through, and Kirk's like, no, I'm not going for this. He looks at Spock like, can you do it? Spock's like, yeah.
So the crux of the matter is in the attack, the Enterprise is
destroyed,
targeted
by the computer.
And Anan needs the crew to beam down
to keep the numbers
and to walk resolutely into the disintegration booth so that the numbers tally
up.
up equally by their computer and the other planetary computer.
Because that's the deal.
And Kirk's like, that ain't happening. My people are not beaming down here. So Anan does a trick with the voice synthesizer
Computer and the
and
communicator.
tries to get Scotty to beam down, which Scotty automatically catches because you're not beaming everybody off a starship. This happens in what is it? The Ultimate Computer, when they get to Starbase and they have everybody.
They sequester most of the crew.
They tell everybody to beam off, and Kirk's like, "Well, what are you talking about? Not beam off, but everybody
Exit
leave
the
the
ship.
ship and go into the star. You never leave the ship empty. It
No.
does not happen. Not even at your own Starbase.
Right.
No.
You never take all the crew off a ship. It's
No,
just not. So when this is
The ship can't be maintained
when
that
this
way.
is said to Scotty, he's like, "No, something ain't right," you know, and he goes and checks, and he relays that to McCoy that there's some fishy business going on.
Yeah. So back down in the cell, Kirk gives Spock the nod, and Spock puts his hands on the wall and mind melds through the wall and touches the guard.
They Count Spocula.
Count Spocula's at it again. Mesmerizes the guard and causes the guard to open the door.
Well, first Maya comes in,
Oh, right. Okay. See,
and
I-
She explains that she's been targeted.
yeah, the she.
right.
I thought they caught her in the hallway.
No,
Okay.
she comes in and she's basically just checking on them, and she's like, "What can I do for you?" He goes, "You can get me a non-7," and she's like, "Well, I can't do that," and he goes, "I want to end this," and she goes, "I don't know how you can," and he's like, "Do you care that little about your life?" And she goes, "No, in fact, I've been assigned to walk into the disintegration booth. I was one of the casualties," and Kirk has issues with that. But he's like, not something better get in here and talk to me because I'm about to break order General Order 24 off on you.
Well, that's the thing. Kirk's usually fairly diplomatic, and he's on her like, "Look, bring me your boss, or bad things are gonna happen." He's just like, she's trying to reason with him. He's like, "Bring me your boss. That's all. That's what I want."
He even asked her, "Is your life dear to you?
Right.
You guys have been so brainwashed that you're willing to walk into a disintegration chamber." He's like, "Nah, this is honestly a step too far. Anand should have just got some of his own people to make up for the 430 people of the Enterprise and say, okay, we're substituting because this is a Federation ship. There ain't no
Right.
way we're going to make this work."
Right.
No, but their mindset of their own. It's a foreign mindset.
It's a rigid mindset.
It's
They're-
20 generations of doing
Yeah.
something some way, and it's
They can't fathom that nobody will comply.
yeah.
They can't fathom it. Like Jim said, this is 500 years of conditioning. They, huh? This is 500 years of conditioning. So they just expecting, well, yeah, you're going to comply. And maybe they tricked the crew of the Valiant. Maybe they were able to destroy the Valiant outright. But
Who was Logan's best friend in Logan's Run? Who was the guy that was actually chasing him?
I have
They were best buddies.
I can't remember.
Because both of them were Sandman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go watch it tomorrow or something.
It's bad to try to watch it again. I tried it recently. It's really
It didn't
tough.
age well.
No, it didn't age well. The miniatures look like miniatures. Like when they're traveling in little tubes.
I just
It
remember,
looks like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
I just remember the killer ice robot at the end.
Mm.
That's all I really remember. That and I liked the guns they had. But go figure.
So she leaves, and then Count Spocula does his stuff.
Count Spocula mesmerizes the guard, and Kirk expressed his sincere. Kirk, you can tell Kirk's ticked off because instead of the regular judo chop to the neck, Kirk breaks out the throat punch and drops the guy. Kirk throat punches the guy and drops him. Meanwhile, they're trying to trick. Scotty decides they cut back to the Enterprise. Scotty decides to take some precautions. He raises the shields while Robert Fox is arguing that they need to get down there and make some things happen, get this negotiations going. Scotty's like, no way, I'm not going down there. And the helmsman, who is not Sulu, the helmsman says all the screens are clear, and then all of a sudden the board lights up, and he's like, nope, we got heavy scan activity, and they take real weapons fire.
Mm-hmm.
A 9-7 orders them shot down, and this is why I didn't think anything they had could ever harm the Enterprise if they had a fleet or not, because they hit them full burst disruptor type weapons, and the Enterprise's shields not only hold, but you don't even get the usual, our shields are down to 80% or anything like that. It's just boom, 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 constant barrage. Oh, we're good. We're fine.
Yeah, but the reason I say that they at one time had the technology because they talked about the transporting in of a bomb. So they have transporters.
Right.
They know about transporters. They're not shocked by guys beaming in.
No.
So at one point, they probably did have the technological capabilities of doing some damage. But over 500 years, that's waned.
Mm-hmm.
Or over the last 50 years, that's waned. They probably...
500.
Well, the helmsman does say if our screens were not up, we would have been disrupted. So I think that they rely on a surprise attack. Now, I also think I remember from some episodes or something that they can keep those disruptors going. So it is going to be a drain on the Enterprise over time because they got to keep their
if
shields
they're strong
up.
enough.
Yeah.
And first episode, I know full-time torpedoes are created. Full-time torpedoes are created at some point late in season 1, but this is the first mention of them in the episodes that we've covered from season 1.
Right.
But the shields are up. I believe at this point Spock has not made contact yet.
Yeah, right after Scotty, the second view of Scotty on the bridge talking to McCoy, Spockula does his magic.
Oh yeah,
the guy comes in. Kirk throat chops him.
Throat punch.
And they go out into the hallway.
But before they do, Kirk turns to him and he goes, "Mr. Spock, we're going to try to do this nice,
but we may have to.
But I may need you to kill people."
The K word.
And Spock goes, "I understand." And it's like he takes the leash,
off the
takes
Vulcan.
it off the Vulcan, and scoots him out the door.
He's like, I unleash my killer Superman on you.
Where you need a little palm fire.
Kirk's got a mean face.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not happy.
Kirk's not happy.
Oh, yeah.
Not happy.
Kirk's not happy with this nonsense. He's gonna shut it down.
You trying to attack my ship? You trying to hurt my baby? Oh no, you picked the wrong fight.
Well, I think it's Scotty's saying more of that. Kirk is still worried about his crew, but Scotty's up there. He's like, "You're not going to hurt my ship.
You're not gonna scratch the paint."
So they get out of the holding cell,
right,
the room that they're being sequestered in, and they make their way and they find the disintegration chamber,
right,
where the husband and wife do their thing,
saying their goodbye.
On the way, they meet Mia, and they stop her because she's going to present herself to the disintegration booth.
Mm-hmm.
And
nuts.
Kirk ain't letting it happen. Remember, this is his ooh-wee.
That's right.
Only because it was scripted. And there's a thing about HR, a thing from HR about yeoman.
So
and it's funny because Kirk is standing there with the only disruptor, and he goes, "Spock, go handle that guard." And Spock walks out there with nothing. There's nothing in his hand. He walks up to the guy, and even as a kid, I remember this line, and I thought it was funny then. I don't know how inappropriate it is now, as far as like thinking about the character that he would do something like that. But he walks up to the guard and he goes, "Sir, there's a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder." And as the guy goes to look, he gives him the neck pinch. But we used to say there's a spider on your shoulder, and used to look at. He says multi-legged creature.
Yeah.
So. And he takes the disruptor from him.
What got me about this scene when we rewatched it, I started to say, this doesn't make sense. Why didn't the guard engage? And all the people who stand around and do nothing. But then it's actually good writing because it feeds into exactly what we're talking about. This society's become so docile.
Yes.
That the civilians are standing around waiting to go in the booth.
They're sheeple.
They're completely sheeple. And
What was it, Kofi Annan, when he was the head of the UN? He said that, and I think Stalin said it, or Lenin, like 1,000 people, that means something, but 1 million dead is a statistic.
yeah,
Like when they've got, 1 to 3 million people dying per year.
they'd be anesthetized to it.
Yeah, that there would just be like, well, this is a good year. We only lost 1 million, and hopefully next year won't be bad.
Well, when you count how many people die from the flu, now we've gone crazy because of CV-19, but when there was just so many thousand per year because of the flu, nobody thought of it. You didn't think of it.
Right.
You give it a second
You accept
thought.
it because it's
Second
life.
thought.
It's
How
life.
many people die in car crashes? More people die in car crashes than gun violence.
Mhm.
Then
You
a
know,
lot of things actually. Car crashes are up there.
You don't give it a second thought.
Right.
Now, if 1,000 people die from a plane, woo!
But that's because it's all at once.
right.
Well, it's not supposed to happen.
And statistically,
You take a risk when you get into a car,
Yeah.
and you know that. Because remember when we were kids, they would show you blood on the highway and stuff like that. Do you ever take driver's training in high school? They used to just try to like terrorize you.
Yeah, they
Oh.
show
Like you're going to kill yourself and other people.
There's a couple of very bad videos of car accidents. They don't show them anymore.
I don't think they had those when I went through.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember bloody car videos.
So Spock neck pinches the guy and takes the gun, and nobody does anything.
And that's
because they're a submissive population.
it's like my initial reaction. Again, talking about writing. If the context of it hadn't been so perfect, I'd have been like, "Hey, wait a second. The guard didn't react. The people didn't react." But what it really is this is such a docile society. The people are literally standing around waiting for somebody to tell them what to do, and they maintain that throughout the episode. And even the armed guard, with no instructions, like you say, Spock walks up on him, nighty night, and the guard never ever.
And this is a
to
population that
attack.
will willingly walk into a
disintegration
disintegration
booth.
chamber.
Right.
You've been so beat down or so
Conditioned.
conditioned that what the government tells you, that's what you're going to do for the greater good of society.
Right. And there's a strong message here that is not the way to go
Well,
back in 1967.
we're moving that way now.
Mm.
Someone tells you that if you got you burning too much coal, you're the villain.
Your footprint.
Your footprint is too big.
The guy telling me that got a jet, though.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I
But
can't.
he's part of the council.
So they burn the disruptor,
I got it.
the disintegration chamber down.
Yeah, I got to disrupt.
Well, Kirk
Yeah.
tells him to get out the way,
Yeah.
and all the sheeple are standing there, and then they start.
They
to
move,
run.
dummies. But see, that's what I'm getting at, though. This was a very well thought out episode. That they're consistent with that. And in other writing, next scene you'd see people running around doing all this stuff that you would expect people to do. But no, they hold that throughout. These jokers stand around till somebody goes, "Move.
Mhm.
I'm about to do a bad thing. Get out of the way." And they're like, "Oh, okay." You know.
What was that movie? My goodness, wasn't Stallone?
Demolition Man?
Demolition Man, Murder, Death, Kill.
Murder, Death, Kill? Yeah.
People just standing around like what?
What?
Murder, Death, Kill, and the villains running around doing bad things, and people are like
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes, and people are like
A young Sandra Bullock.
they don't care, they don't
yeah.
understand it.
Mhm.
Right, because it hasn't happened in a long time.
But these people are they're sheeple.
Yeah, they're just waiting to be.
So he
They're just waiting to be picked.
Kirk disrupts the
The booth.
disintegration booth.
And those are Klingon style disruptors. They just repurposed them.
I always thought disruptors were Romulan.
Well, Romulans and Klingons have them. They just look a little different.
Okay.
They just look a little different. Federation uses phasers, and the Romulans and the Klingons use disruptors. And the disruptor is supposed to be a nastier weapon.
But don't you think it was just in the utility of the budget?
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
with phasers, you got to do
a beam.
you have to do a beam.
I'm sure that's why.
post production.
I'm positive that's why they came up with disruptors.
A disruptor is just like all you need is a sound effect.
Yeah, you make a noise.
Yeah.
You make a noise and do a little explosion on the
Yeah.
other end, and you're done.
We need a disruptor. We probably have to do a disruptor sound effect.
So right after Kirk disrupts the chamber, you go right to the council and said Federation prisoners have attacked their guards and escaped. What else is he going to say?
Well, don't forget back on the Enterprise, Scotty has a knockdown drag out with Fox.
It's not yet.
Yeah, it's not
Coming
yet.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
So the council knows that they're armed. They've escaped and they destroyed one of the disruptor banks. And he gives the order to attack the Enterprise.
Right, to destroy it.
In 10 minutes, open up on them. Because things are not. The councilman is not having a good day.
Well, his society is being disrupted.
Yeah, Kirk is throwing a monkey wrench into it.
His 500-year order is being disrupted by this dude from Starfleet. So yeah,
Those pesky Federation people.
yeah, and their ideals.
How dare that ideals come between me and killing my own people?
Yeah, and just in a nice orderly fashion. So they go on, and I've obviously got the scenes a little bit mixed up in my head because I'm remembering Scotty and Fox they attack him, and I remember Scotty and Fox having the huge argument where Scotty's like, "You do what you want to do. I'm not lowering these shields."
Yeah.
And
They do have that conversation.
Yeah.
And once again, it comes down to you've got the Federation saying, well, tactically, we're going to call the shots. And Scotty's like, no, I mean, you're about strategy and diplomacy and the big picture, but this is my ship.
right,
And you can go ahead and throw me in jail, but you're going to throw me in jail as I ride this intact starship back to a starbase.
I'm going to be alive to be prosecuted.
That's right.
And Fox is like, "You'll figure prominently in my report."
Yeah. And then Scotty says, well, when McCoy goes, now you've done it or something like that. And Scotty goes, yeah, the haggis is in the fire.
Yes, I love that line. The haggis is in the
Yeah,
fire.
but see, they've already been lied to. There's already been a false communication.
Right.
I'm not going down that road. Now, is the Gorn episode before this one?
Yes.
Yes.
And that was another false communication.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going down that road.
Mhm.
We're not driving down that road. Like you say, if I got to be locked up, I'll be locked up.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You're not bullying me.
No.
Locked up death. Locked up death.
Right.
I'll take locked up and dead.
Right.
Yeah, I'll live, and then I'll.
And not only that, diplomat Robert Fox, it's going to take us a while to get back to the starbase for you to file your report or put me up there. And you know what? Airlocks open all the time on a starship.
No, we run into cloud monsters all the time.
That's right.
I think
Day of the Dove might happen, baby.
no.
You might get lost.
No, I think they're gonna cruise through Organian space on the way back. I think they're gonna.
We got a new champion.
I think they're gonna
our
cruise through
diplomat.
Organian space on the way back and go. Have you talked to the Gorn about world peace?
You're
That's
talking
right.
about Metron space.
Metron space. Have you talked to the Gorn about world peace? I think they want to hear what you have to say.
Mm.
Who would that be short?
Yeah. Haggis is in the fire.
The haggis is.
But once again, it's Scotty's ship.
Yeah.
I'm not going down like that.
Nope.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And we were talking about Kirk is so by the book.
Yeah.
Kirk is so by the book, and he's
Got it
probably
wired tight.
and he's put in protocols because in various episodes he's got different protocols that when he beams
Queens
down,
to Queens level 3
that,
captain.
that you're not going to respond to do something without him giving you a proper code for you to. So
Especially if it sounds unusual.
Kirk's a cut above, but his crew is also
Oh, yeah.
well trained.
Right.
Well, part of what makes Kirk a great leader is he's not a micromanager. He's trained his people to think and make decisions. They know they should and consider something and make a decision if something doesn't seem right.
So,
he's removed a lot of the variables when it comes to guesswork.
Right.
So in other words, he knows when he's the best person to command that vessel is he himself. When he leaves, he knows that there are going to be people that he's trained, that have experience, that are going to do things, but he doesn't want them saying, well, I wonder if the captain would want me to do
Right.
this or
Right.
that.
I already know.
Right.
He
know.
already covers that with them.
Right.
You know, there's one episode where I forget which one is it. Is it Tholian Webb or something? He actually leaves a like a video diary for
it's
McCoy and Spock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes, if you're watching this, I'm dead. But I need you two to work together.
It's
and
the one with the
Spock,
Defiant.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
McCoy. These are Spock's strengths, and this is his opportunities. And Spock, he goes, go to McCoy, ask him. You'll find that his advice often is good. Like
Right.
it just shows you that he's had those conversations. He sets up the variables so they have minimum variation so that they can be successful. So,
And in this particular episode, Scotty's setting the chair, but with the Gorn drive-by, Sulu's in the
Sulu.
chair. And it's pretty much the same thing.
Right.
Because,
no, Spock's in the chair.
no.
In the Gorn episode.
Gorn.
Later on, Spock's in the chair in the beginning of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
When they're on the
Yeah,
planet.
Yeah, you're
The
right.
initial
You're right.
attack.
Yep.
Initial
Initial
attack.
attack.
Yeah.
Sulu.
Sulu's in the chair, and he's got to make the decision.
No check off
He's
yet.
got to make the decision.
Yep.
So Scotty now he's in that position. They're being attacked, and by the what's the name of this race again? Anon Sevens,
The Armenians.
the
The
Armenians.
suicidal humans?
Mhm.
Well, I shouldn't say the S
So
word on
at-
YouTube. Sorry.
Up until they were being attacked,
Gonna get
up
banned
until the
again.
attack, they were scanning to try to find a captain in the party.
Right.
And after the attack,
Anon
Fox
7.
Fox comes in, and Fox goes, "Hey, it's my job to deal with this
Right.
because it's probably just a mistake."
Well, he overhears Scotty as he walks onto the bridge. Scotty's like, I can't lower my shields to phaser him, but I could treat him with about a dozen photon torpedoes. and Fox walks in and goes, you're not going to do that. And Scotty's like, oh, well, maybe I will and maybe I won't.
Kind of thinking I am.
I think I am.
Kind of thinking I am. And tech thing, Scotty said he couldn't fire full phasers with the shields up, and that's never.
Well, deflectors, are they the same as shields?
Yes.
I didn't
And-
think so.
Well, there's screens.
There's a deflector screen,
There's
and then there's
deflector
shields.
screens, and then there's shields. Scotty said he couldn't fire phasers with shields up, and that's never really been the case in Star Trek. But in this episode, they say it.
See, and you're the guy, so I'm going to defer to you, especially since you're the admiral. My understanding of it is that deflector screens you couldn't shoot through, but shields you can.
Deflector screens are actually
That big dish in the front of the
Well,
second hull.
the navigational deflector. That's
Right.
part of it. That they actually thought about when they designed the Enterprise. How would this thing? Because in real life, you're moving through space. A rock traveling at X amount of speed hit the ship, and you're done.
Right.
The navigational deflector was designed as a way of saying there's a beam coming off that, there's a field coming off that moves debris out of the way. That's what that does.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's what they used to call the screens. The screens is like a first line of defense. It only covers certain parts of the ship. It covers the bridge.
And we see that in Wrath of Khan, where they actually press the button and you see the
Right.
go around.
So you have the screens, which in the old series supposedly only cover like the bridge and a couple other vital places. And then you have the shields, which is the full-on defensive combat protection that covers the whole ship.
But shields take a massive amount of power, though, right?
Yeah.
Because I know what was it in the motion picture, they actually made the warp engines powering the
The warp engines do power the shields.
shields.
You draw-
but they didn't before.
Well,
Because he says the new design of the Enterprise is that because the warp core was, now I'm sounding like somebody that knows what they're talking about, but
hey,
I don't.
Go ahead.
But there was an imbalance in the warp core, which caused the wormhole. And then when he said shields, then Decker countermanded it because
The
the
shield
shields are
system
now
had been
powered
changed.
through the warp core. So
Right.
yeah.
So that just jumped out at me because prior to that and everything after that, they raise shields, they fire phasers, there's no issue.
So Fox comes on the bridge and he goes, "Look, I'll take control because I'm the ambassador."
Yeah,
and this is what you get into next gen.
Politicians.
You got a politician, an ambassador is the captain.
Right.
That's what Picard is. Supposedly an explorer, but he's more an ambassador.
Oh.
Yes. His claim to fame is he's a good talker.
He's not a Kirk starship captain.
Okay.
Well, Kirk had those qualities, but that wasn't.
That was
his
no,
no,
main
he
job.
was trained to be. He was trained in it, just like he was trained in first aid.
Right.
But if McCoy was standing there and Kirk was standing there, who would you want you to stop the arterial bleeding?
McCoy's got all the pills.
Fox is an ambassador, and that's
Yeah.
interesting because to look at Jean-Luc as a diplomat first and then a captain second.
John Luke wouldn't have survived in Kirk's generation.
No.
He would have died quickly.
Can we talk about?
Oh.
Yeah, he would die quickly. So Fox is there, and he goes, "Hey, I'm the ambassador. Give me a priority message to the Armenians, and
I don't think
I'll figure this out.
we'll
I
figure
don't
it
think
out.
they're the Armenians.
Whatever,
That's a European country.
whatever." And we'll figure this out. I'll talk to them, and then Amon starts talking to him, and it sounds like it's reasonable.
Right. He's like, hey, no, we're all good. It's just a misunderstanding. Lower your shields. It's all good.
You want Scotty's line? It says the my idea of diplomacy is a fully armed phaser pick. Phaser pick.
I'm not going out like that.
I like Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty's wearing the right color.
I'm not going out like that.
Of course not. But now, after Scotty puts his career on the line and tells Fox to get bent,
They're back in the room.
they're back.
And
in
she
the
said,
room.
"Why are we here?" And he goes, "It's the last place they look for us. It's the place we escaped from."
Are you so anxious to die?
You guys can handle that whole Mia 3 byplay.
But then they say it's funny because Spock goes, "We got a couple of disruptors, a couple of full uniforms which happen to fit our guys, and a communication device." And he says it doesn't have enough range, but I'll get to work on it. And it was kind of like, it's kind of like when they came into that room, the writers made sure they had everything they needed
That's right.
to move forward.
That's right.
Very
The
clean and tidy. And it was Spock. Yep, Spock did
story
it.
forward.
Yep, Spock did it in like 2 lines. But once again, we didn't know any of that. They didn't show us. They didn't show that to us. They didn't show them stripping the guards' uniforms or taking all that stuff.
And the communicator you kind of glaze over the communicator, but I noticed that Yeoman Taluma originally had it.
So my question is, are there 2 naked guards in the hall somewhere or in a room, or did they put them into one of the booths?
That's a good.
They stuffed them in the closet.
Stuffed them in one. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about one of the sand
No,
booths.
they destroyed the booth.
Listen, as
Find
passive
another one.
Well,
as passive
Well-
as those guys were, I can see getting uniforms and disruptors out of them. But somebody died for them to get that communicator.
no. It depends. Did Spock waylay them or did Galloway waylay them?
Oh, if Galloway waylaid them, they're dead.
Did security take care of it, or did Commander Spock take care of it? Commander Spock take care of it. They're tied up in a closet somewhere. If Galloway's like, push that button.
So Kirk talks to me and tries to get her to understand.
How
If you help
how
me,
bad
I'll
this-
help you.
Right. Help me, help you.
Help
Right.
me.
Help
Help
me.
you.
We can
Help
change. We can change your society.
Help me. Help you.
Help me. Help me.
I need the quine.
Work with you.
Help me. Help you.
That's a great scene.
So
And she's like, "Okay,
yeah, Kirk's kind of.
what are you gonna do?
Kirk's kind of pulling his own version of the.
What am I gonna do?
Kirk's kind of pulling his
I'll
own.
tell you what I'm
version
gonna
of
do. I'm gonna
the
go to-
mind meld right there. He's just kind of like.
I'm gonna go to Anan Seven's personal quarters and threaten him. Then I'm gonna get knocked out. Then I'm gonna go to the council chamber and beat everybody down. And then I'm gonna blow up your computers. That's what I'm gonna do."
So at the council, after he gets done talking to me at the council chamber, it goes back to Amon 7, and he goes, "We're running out of time because they're falling behind.
They're counting
They're
the
falling behind on their
the
quota.
tally. Yeah.
They're not killing people like they're supposed to be killing people.
Yeah, they were $100,000 in the hole or something like that.
Mhm.
And the other side is going to get mad because we
The-
bombed you and you ain't killing your own people fast enough.
Vendikar.
The
Vendikar
Vendikarians.
wants vengeance.
So Vindicar's like, hey, we're over here incinerating people and you're not.
That's right.
And that's a violation of the treaty.
Yeah.
Some treaty.
That's bad.
So now it's
I
going from bad to
like
worse for a non-7
Yes, it
because
is.
he's starting to realize this is slipping through his fingers.
And the guy tells him we're unable to destroy the Earth ship.
Right.
Can't
Can't touch it. And by then they've moved to a higher orbit.
Dun, 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 dun. Can't touch this.
Can't disrupt us.
So by then the Enterprise has moved to a higher orbit, but they're still in range, as we will find out.
The Enterprise
They're in
is in
phaser
range.
range.
Yeah, but not disruptor range.
That's
not,
right.
Not disruptor range.
Maximum phaser range.
Mm-hmm.
We're further back that we can still reach out and touch you, but you can't touch us.
Right, right. Always preferable. So they go from there, and as Jim says, Kirk pops up in a 9/7's quarters like, let's have a conversation.
Oh, he was full on.
Yeah.
Kirk.
Kirk's got that disruptor. I'll say one thing for the disruptor prop. The way they hold it, it's got a little bit more menace.
Yeah.
The phaser is almost deceptively, it's like, you don't realize how destructive the phaser is until they use it, but the disruptor's got some menace to it.
Kirk comes in into his quarters, and non-7's quarters, and non-7's pouring himself a Tranya or something.
A drink.
And he kind of senses he's there, and he's like, "Come in, Captain." And you can tell the reason the captain's there is because Maya told him where to go. Right. And he's got his disruptor up, and he's kind of looking around. But it's interesting. Anand says, I was right about you. You are a barbarian. And Kirk just walks slowly forward and kind of looking around, and he goes, "I am." He's under control. He's under control, but he's menacing.
What you find out in the Star Trek universe, those societies that become purely peaceful cease to exist.
Oh, yeah.
They cease to exist. Whether they create something and it destroys them themselves or something else comes along, those societies that don't have the ability to generate some type of menace to keep themselves safe cease to exist.
Or get subjugated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm a barbarian. I'm not going out like that. Mm-hmm. And he's trying to make him to understand the Federation, when they go all the way. We don't piecemeal this war stuff.
Right.
He goes, we make real war.
Yeah. He said, if it comes down to it, more starships show up. Not that I need more. Mine can do it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because one starship has the ability for planetary bombardment.
Multiple planets.
Well, I'm talking about
one at a time.
But I'm still saying.
One starship, one planet. I can go around your planet.
Takes an afternoon
and wipe everything off. Yeah. Everything off the face of it.
It's a long day, but it'll get done.
All your cities will be gone. There's a difference here. I don't need a massive Starfleet. We just need one ship.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To beam in orbit around, and we've got one.
Right.
You guys are messing with wrong carrier.
And they don't even really factor in photon torpedoes in the bombardment. It's just systematic phaser bombardment.
Yeah.
Photon torpedoes will shorten your timeline quite a bit.
Then Kirk does a forearm push against him, like an MMA move up against the wall. And he says, because he goes, "Are you really? Do these 500 people mean more than the hundreds of millions down here?
My society."
And Kirk's like, "You better start worrying about society and worry about your own skin, because I'm standing in front of you with a disruptor pressed against your chest. So you're going to tell me where my communicators are and where my phasers are." And he's like, at first he says, he goes, "Because I'm going to destroy your planet." Or basically destroy everything. He goes, "Oh, really? You, one person with one disruptor, you're that formidable?"
Yeah, he says, "Yes, I am."
He goes, "Yes, I am. I'm James T. Kirk."
He's looking at him like, "Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and it's not the usual Kirk bluff.
I've been thrown out of better planets than this.
It's not the usual Kirk clever bluff either. Kirk's looking at him like, "Yeah,
Kirk means
it. Dude, I'm gonna bake your planet."
Kirk means it because he already knows they're falling behind. Kirk already knows they're falling behind. The situation that he's created by destroying the disintegration chambers,
right,
are putting them in a crunch.
Yep.
Right. That's gonna cause a
and
conflict.
as long as he's free, it gets worse. On top of the Enterprise is not pulled far enough back, they can't do nothing with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're out of compliance because they haven't killed the crew of the Enterprise.
Right now, Star Trek. Right now, Starfleet and Kirk are the VC, and it's guerrilla warfare, and all they've got to do is drag it out long enough.
Yep.
And it's going to resolve, and that's what he's doing. He's hitting. He's doing guerrilla tactics. He's hitting one place, going to the other.
Right.
And now
destroying disintegration boosts.
Yep. So,
but in the midst of it all, because Kirk gets a little heated, he doesn't catch the fact that a 9/7 hits a hidden button and calls security.
yeah, I don't think he cared because what happens was when he says, "Well, where is my stuff?" He goes, "Take a left down the hallway, another left. It's unguarded
in the battle room."
Yeah. And as he goes to walk out the door,
he's
goes,
like, "Oh yeah,
come here, let me push you out front."
Kirk steps. He's like, "Yeah, there's gonna be guys on the other side of this door."
That's right.
And again, not just showing how bad Kirk is, but I thought it was really sticking with the premise. These guards that a 9/7 has never been in combat. They're not experienced. So when he steps out in the hallway, there's a bunch of them, and he works them over.
Yeah.
No, they're saying, man, they're used to guys. No, people don't even run.
They don't even
No.
Nobody fights them.
And to Kirk's credit, what Captain Palpatine would have done is when that door opened, I would have fired.
Oh yeah, I would have shot a guy.
I'd have been disrupting left, right, and
Oh
center.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But he was, he.
I'm here. A 9/7. I'm gonna help you with your numbers. Yeah, I'm gonna help you. This is me caring about the
I'm
mass
going to
of people you
contribute
got.
to the cause.
Right.
Let me contribute to the cause.
We're making an omelet here, 9/7. You and me.
What are you
We're gonna make
What are
an
you
omelet.
doing? Why are you killing these people? I'm helping you with your numbers, man.
Oh, what? Their names didn't come up? Is that not how it works? Yeah, I would have stepped through the door firing. I would have disrupted my way down the hallway and made my left.
No, I would have pushed him first, but once I came out, I would have shot that guy.
I actually thought in this scene where he's having the conversation with a 9/7 and the 9/7 remains calm and he's like, "Whatever, Captain, do what you want." I would have been thinking regime change at that point.
Oh yeah.
I want to give some props to Sir William in this scene because there was no stunt man, and it was a good fight. It was a good fight.
That wasn't an extra.
It wasn't
was
like I draw my lightsaber back and you miss me and things like that. He was ready. The timing was really good. It didn't look hokey, and there was no stuntman. So kudos to Sir William.
I'm gonna break the wall. Another.
You can't. What are you doing?
Talking about lightsaber misses when it should have hit.
So
That's bad stunt coordination.
Oh, it's awful.
I like it even worse, where a guy who has two stun rods, and then he for a minute, and then he only has one.
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But Sir William did a great job.
I'm staying here.
He did a great job.
I'm staying right here. Yeah, that was a really well choreographed scene, and Kirk's winning until he gets pistol whipped.
Twice.
And they have to
Takes
nail him
two to
twice.
get him down.
Right, takes two to get him down.
They drag him to the council chamber, and then next thing we know,
Fox is beaming down.
Fox and his boy beams down.
His Fox and his aide.
And his aide don't have a name because he ain't around long enough for you to get to know him.
Fox and Gray the Unwise.
And then Nan meets him personally and just walks him right up to the disintegration booth. and Fox is like, "You mean we are to be killed?"
Well, the lead up to that, Anand's just looking at him like, "You poor guy."
That's right.
And he's like, right this way. I'm so sorry to meet you under these circumstances.
Like, what?
I deeply regret this. And Mr. Fox is like, "No, we can work it out." He's like, "No, it's worked out. You see,
You're already
Yeah, that's
dead.
right.
you see, you're dead. And we're going to put you in this little booth here, and you're going to go poof."
Yeah, so
And Fox, as much as we despise him, displays real human nature.
Oh, he puts his arm up.
He's like, I'm not going in
there.
I'm not going in there.
I'm not that sophisticated. I'm not going to that booth. Not
Well,
going
later
to the
on, he
booth.
tells Spock's like, we need help here. And he goes, I'm not a warrior, but I learn quickly.
Like,
And he's like, I better,
Fine.
am I going to be on one side or the other?
Fox is like, they tried to disintegrate me. Pass me one of those. Pass me one of those disruptors. They tried to disintegrate me. This is crazy.
It's amazing when you think about it. Here this guy's an ambassador. He comes in to try to make peace between groups that want to make peace. You can't make peace with two guys who are hell-bent and killing each other.
No,
not if it's
Somebody has to want peace for you to make peace.
right.
or you have to bring enough leverage to force peace.
Or enough leverage to force peace. Or enough money to buy peace.
Well, that's leverage to force peace. Essentially, you can buy the peace sometimes.
So force has to be exerted in one format or another.
Right.
So whether it's through a gun, whether it's through money,
Right.
force has to be exerted for peace to ensue.
You have to make it desirable for them to cease fighting.
Now, at this point, Spock's got the communication device working, calls up to Scotty and says, "How's the ship?" And Scotty's like, "I'm taking care of my ship." Doesn't say how the crew is. He's, "How's the ship? My ship's good." And then he says, Spock says, "Under no circumstances is anyone to beam down." And Scotty goes,
Well,
that Poppin' J. Fox is down there. So
Spock's like, they'll kill him. And he's like, well, he's down there. So about that.
Yeah.
So then Spock gets the team ready, except he leaves
Taluma.
Taluma to guard Maya at this point. And Lieutenant Galway and anonymous other guy.
But tells Taluma, if she gives you any trouble, put the beating on her.
What does he tell? Prevent her from self-emulating.
Prevent her from self-immolating. Sit on her if you have to.
That's right.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the Taluma is Admiral Redshirt's Uwe of the Week.
How could they not know?
And you
We said it 30 minutes ago.
You can see her very good in this particular frame. So,
And Mia 3 is sitting in the chair looking dejected because she can't go run in the booth.
Yeah.
it's amazing how those bully boy suits fit our red shirts real good.
Well, you know,
Probably spandex. Yeah.
you know,
Stretches.
yeah, you know, they're just fun jumpers with shark head hats. Everybody wants one. I think it'll be all over the place this summertime.
Except for their hats are not gold; they have black.
Well, you had to be a tone.
The hats are different.
Yeah, the hats are
what they
different.
do. Yeah.
But I enjoy when everybody leaves and Taluma's sitting there looking at me at 3 like, I wish you would.
She got her hands on her hips.
Yeah,
Yep.
she's like, I wish you would.
Yep.
You want to die? I can help you.
That's the fight I wanted to see.
Yeah, you just wanted to break out the popcorn.
Well, you know, that's more your popcorn's more your thing. I probably would have grabbed a cookie or a piece of cake.
Spock, Lieutenant Galway, and anonymous
And anonymous security.
red
Red shirt number 2.
head down the hallway, and luckily they run right into Poppin' J. Fox.
As he's fighting the power.
He's pushing back. He ain't going into
He
the...
only using one hand though. He's half-hearted doing it.
Yeah.
I'd have had both hands up.
Well, you know, these
I
guys
ain't
aren't,
going.
like Jim said, nobody's had to force anybody into a booth in a long time. These guys aren't prepared.
That's right.
These guys aren't prepared. They're like, what is all this?
Murder, death, kill.
Murder, death, kill. What do you mean he doesn't want to go in the booth? What do we do? Push him. How do we do that?
Oh, and Fox says, "What are you doing, Mr. Spock?" He goes, I'm practicing a peculiar form of diplomacy." Pulls the trigger.
And once again, has to tell the people, move out of the way, knuckleheads. We're about to
Yeah.
shoot guns.
Yeah. So they head towards where they think. Oh no, Fox tells them the guards said that they're holding Kirk in the council room.
In the council room.
So they start heading that way, and we have one of those classic hallway shootouts, and anonymous
and Gray the Unwise
Gray
goes
the
down.
Unwise. And I asked you, I said, "Oh, do you think he's on stun? That was stun?" And you go, "Oh no, they disrupted his internal organs."
He's
You see him,
dead.
he kind of crumples over and he puts his hand up,
He's
and
crumpled over. He's
Yeah,
done.
he's dead.
He's done.
Yeah, I forget wherever they described how the disruptor works, but it's pretty nasty. You'd rather get phasered.
Yeah, it just breaks your molecules apart. I think turns you into jello. Maybe.
Yeah, well, depending on who's writing it, it's at that level, or it's just it bursts organs and break bones.
Oh, yeah.
It's all internal damage. You don't see anything on the outside.
So as Spock is on his way, and to the captain.
And they cut to the captain.
Anan is having a conversation with Kirk, and he's trying to do the moral justification of
What they're doing.
their society.
Right.
And
Making the argument again.
he's making the argument that you're going to spare your ship of 400 and some odd people. He says 500
Right.
for the million and some odd people that's on my planet.
Hundreds of millions.
Shouldn't you willingly give your life for us? Ain't no way, buddy.
Kirk's like, nope.
Ain't no way. He goes, that's not our problem. My ship is not your problem.
Right. And he calls him a barbarian, and Kirk says, I am a barbarian.
He goes, we're not responsible for starting this, but I'm likely to finish it.
Yeah. And again, not the usual bluff. Kirk's good to go.
No.
He's going
Oh,
to he's going to
no.
make
Oh,
this
yeah.
happen.
He's
You look at his
committed.
face. He's committed.
Yeah.
He's
And
committed.
so Anan calls up to the Enterprise to make the threat, come down here or we're going to kill your captain kind of a deal.
Right.
And Kirk jumps up and says, Scotty, execute General Order number 24.
No, number 24. And then Anan calls up and says, I'm going to kill your captain in 15 minutes. And Kirk goes, I don't care about that. I may not be around to see it, but in 2 hours, your planet's going to look like burnt toast. So,
Kirk said, in 2 hours, they're going to destroy your planet.
yeah, I just won't be around to see it.
He's
but
like,
it's going to happen.
he's like, you wouldn't. He's like, oh, yeah, we will.
Mhm.
We will. We so will.
There's some pretty good acting here between Anan and
Sir William.
Sir William. It's pretty good.
What jumped out at me in this scene when Kirk gave the order, especially when it's confirmed in a few minutes after that by Scotty,
Oh, I love those lines.
that it's a real order, because they call Scotty back and Scotty goes, in 1 hour and 45 minutes, all your cities have been locked into our targeting computers. And in 1 hour and 45 minutes,
We're going to burn them to the ground.
I'm giving you the business, buddy.
What was that video game thing translation? All your cities are now.
All your base belong to us.
All your base are belong to us.
We're going to burn your cities to the ground.
What jumped out at me is I jumped back to Mirror Mirror.
Right.
The protocol that the evil Kirk is following in the
Channel
Mirror Mirror
24?
universe exists.
Oh, yeah.
It exists.
Yeah.
In the regular universe, it's like, oh no, there is a protocol for burning planets. We do
Yeah.
it. It happens. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
Which means Mirror Mirror isn't that far off the mark. It just happens more often there.
Mm.
General Order number 24.
That's cold.
General Order number 24.
That's cold.
Mm.
Also in some circles known as a base Delta Zero. Who knows,
Wow.
who knows what that is?
I don't.
It's another reference. Somebody put it in the comments and educate the captains on a base Delta Zero.
Oh, yeah. Then Anan is like grasping at straws. He goes, open fire on the ship. They're like, they're too far away.
Well, they're
now.
too far away. They're out of range. And Scotty's looking at his watch.
Mm.
Yep. We're far enough that you can't touch us, but we can still reach down and tickle you.
And then this is where Kirk takes out 4 guards.
Yeah.
4 guards, and then there's 5 councilmen. So 9. That's 9 against 1, and Kirk just handles his business.
Yeah, but
Well-
these are not bread and circus guys. These are not guys who used to killing. These are
These are rookies. They never been in a fight in their life.
these are marshmallows.
Can you imagine what Captain Tracy could have done single-handedly?
Oh, Tracy would have took over the planet.
Oh yeah.
Tracy would have took over the planet. Tracy would have done what I was thinking about in Anan's quarters. I'd have disrupted Anan and went and found the number 2 guy and been like, let's talk regime change.
Yeah.
Let's talk regime change. That's what I would have done. Yeah, Tracy.
I drained 12 disruptors. and they kept coming.
No. Tracy would have been sitting there talking about, I didn't even drain one and they gave up. I wasn't expecting that. And they went in the boost just because I told them to. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, this is too docile of a society.
I love it here, Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a king.
So Kirk does this circular. He goes through. He runs around the octagon. It reminded me, like, remember Hulk Hogan when he used to run around the ring and hit people with chairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He clears the room. He's got
a
disruptor in each
disruptor.
hand, and he's getting ready to monologue, and then Spock and them.
Spock and the boys bust
Yeah.
in.
Oh, but first, that's where Scotty calls down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scotty's like, "You good, Captain?" He's like, "I'm good. Don't destroy the planet."
No,
Just-
this is where he's
Oh,
telling.
well, he
them.
tells him an hour 45 minutes.
Yeah. We're gonna do everything, and then that's when Kirk clears the room, and then Spock comes in and says, I assumed you needed help."
Yeah. He's,
Kirk's like, "Yeah, I do need help."
Kirk's like, "I do need help
Yeah,
because I'm trying not to disrupt the room."
I'm about to do something that might go bad,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna do it anyway.
but I'm doing it anyway.
right.
And
So
they-
he has Fox take everybody out of the room,
yeah,
and he and Spock go over to where the computers are, and Spock starts investigating what's going on, and
they take the guy who runs the
the computer guy.
what was that guy's name? Something 6. We saw it, but in any event, they take the guy in there who knows how to run the battleship computer.
He's got the orange sash.
yeah
Yeah.
the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to break the Xbox.
And they bring him in. They go, "Give us our weapons and our communicators." He takes them out of a little drawer, hands them to them. And then Spock's like, "These two are attack. That's defense. This one calculates
The body
casualties, but this one is the key." And he goes, "Channels open. You destroy this one. You destroy all of them." And what I love is that Kirk doesn't use a disruptor. He uses a good old-fashioned
count. He
phaser.
gets that Type 1 out, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah, here we go."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, here we go."
Yeah.
And the guy, of course, the technician's freaking out. He's like, "You can't
You
get
can't
him.
do that. I'm out of a job."
Don't unplug my Xbox." But in the and then in the ensuing conversation, Kirk breaks down, "Hey, you got to have an incentive to stop this.
Right.
War is supposed to be horrible. War is supposed to have a cost. A cost in a visual cost. That's what cost in society."
And that's what leads to the name of the episode, A Taste of Armageddon. Armageddon is the destruction. It's Ragnarok.
Mhm.
It's the end of all things,
Right.
end of all life due to war.
Yeah.
And he has to give them once more a taste of it. You're
So they'll
you're
be-
at the brink of being snuffed out. You're no longer going to be able to play this little party trick
Right.
where it's sanitized murder.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're gonna have to face the hard death of it. And a non-7, he's having a breakdown about it
Right.
because of the horror that is war. And Kirk's like, yeah, it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That's your
that's why
incentive not to do it.
That's why you stop doing it.
Right. And that's the overall message,
Well,
of course, of this episode.
He said, we are barbarians, but I choose not to be a killer
killer
today.
Right. We're not going to kill anyone today.
Right.
Because Anon can't get over in his mind the hatred of the two societies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You got to make a choice, man. Because what actually needs to happen is you guys need to stop or annihilate yourself,
Right.
wherein you stop.
Right.
And then
They made it too antiseptic, too clean, and they were okay with going on with it.
Well, they've accepted that their solution is the final one,
Right.
that there are no other variables.
Right. There's no other way to get it done.
And Kirk says, we're human beings and we have the blood of a million years on our hands, but we can just say we're not going to kill people
We're
today.
not going to
So,
do it today. Right.
yeah. And I think that finally gets to Anon, or at least he's desperate enough that, and Robert Fox says, hey, if
I'm
you're looking
right.
for a diplomat, I'm right here.
I can assist you with that.
I've had some experience in it.
Well, he tells them contact the other planet.
Yeah, and he says
I'm pretty sure they're
ready to stop too.
they're ready to stop too, because this is going to the next level.
And
Right.
and he said, and Anon 7, to make it even more asinine, Anon 7 says we have a direct line to them, but we haven't used it in generations,
Right.
or something like centuries, something like that. But
Yeah.
which is just crazy. But they force a peace.
Yep.
The specter of all-out real war,
A taste of
a
Armageddon.
taste of Armageddon. And of course, that's the overriding message, is that you can't make war clean and
No.
attractive.
Well, we've done it to a degree here in
Well,
the
yeah.
United States. Our smart bombs and
Drones
drones, you can
Yes.
off at a distance, you can push a button and
Right.
watch on the screen, and the building blows up. And
yeah. And
how
they-
many people died inside that building? It's like we said when we first did the Gorn episode,
Yes.
Arena, that a phaser grenade going off and people vaporizing, that's not as horrible as a
seeing
bomb going off
pieces.
and pieces of body laying all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think the Admiral argued the counterpoint on a personal reason. You said that it was more horrifying.
I think I thought I'd find it more disturbing that there was nothing.
Either way, it's
horrible.
bad.
And it's supposed to be.
It's not good.
And that's really kind of you hit it on the head. The fact that a story written in 1967 is still calling out something that we're having an issue with now. People are trying to say, well, we're going to make it safer and we're going to make it this and we're going to make it that. It's like you're moving towards a thing where you'll wage war without thought.
Yes.
You'll wage war because it's easy and it doesn't seem to cost.
Look!
anything.
You get a new president. Next thing he's launching rockets.
Yeah, because he can just do that.
You just press a button and launch a rocket and kill thousands of people somewhere else.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
Right. And you didn't endanger your people to do it.
Didn't cost me nothing.
Yeah, except the cost of the weapons.
It didn't cost you anything.
Yeah, and that's to be avoided.
And we're moving towards, as you're saying, drones that'll do the fighting for you.
Mm-hmm.
No human life lost on our side.
So where's your incentive not to fight?
Where's your incentive not to fight?
Right. Got to be careful about
Because
that.
there's a difference between shooting somebody with a gun and stabbing somebody
With a knife.
with a knife. A knife is close up and personal.
And there's a difference between dropping a bomb on somebody than shooting them with a gun.
Yep.
Well, remember too. I mean, that was always. I always thought Japan banned firearms for a long time.
Yeah,
because of a guy that you could train in a couple of days could kill a samurai who had trained his entire life.
well, that wasn't the banning of firearms. That was the banning of swords, and that was because they were moving from one period of warlords to a governmental system.
Moving from the Shogun period to the Meiji period, I
Right.
believe.
So
it
they
was.
didn't want individuals running around with swords that you could just hack somebody. And it took years to learn how to do it when you can have government officials with pistols. So they got rid of the swords so that you had a limited amount of people.
Yeah.
That the government, once again, it's about governmental control.
And the samurai did adopt firearms.
Well, they did once they realized that there was enough of them and you couldn't turn it back. So,
Right, yeah. Even Musashi said that the firearm was a devastating weapon and worthy of adaptation.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean the message of this episode really resonates now. We need to be careful about making it attractive,
Too antiseptic.
too easy to go to war. Yeah.
They beam up and they're on the bridge. Kirk cancels General Order 24 and they're sitting there and Lieutenant Uhura says, good news. Robert Fox says that the negotiations have started and they're hopeful. And then Spock is asking Kirk, why he did what he did. And he goes, well, I just kind of had a feeling that maybe it would go the way that it needed to. And Spock goes, well, Captain, you're almost making me believe in luck. And Kirk looks at him and goes, well, Mr. Spock, you're almost making me believe in miracles.
Yes.
So. Great episode.
Yeah. Timely message.
Absolutely. Timeless.
Yeah.
Timeless message.
A lot of Kirk, a lot of Spock, very little McCoy, very little. I said very little. Scotty.
But Scotty has great moments in this.
Little to none Uhura. No check. No. Before
Sulu.
Chekhov. No Sulu.
Yeah.
But it's still a great episode, and it's timely even now.
Oh,
Mhm.
It
extremely
was timely then
timely now.
because you're looking at nuclear war, mass wiping out of people.
Another thing that was coming online at that time period was missiles were really coming into their own, and people were really thinking about the implications of missile technology and what that was going to mean. Kind of the same idea, just probably impacting people how drones are impacting us now. You're looking at this thing and you're like, what does this mean? What is this going to lead to?
Yeah. Nothing good.
Nothing good.
Taste of Armageddon.
Taste of Armageddon.
This is definitely in my top 10. Taste of Armageddon.
Oh,
I don't know if I ever ranked it. I've always liked this episode. Even as a kid, you can get the message out of it. Even as a kid, you can get, don't be so quick to get into get into a fight, seek other solutions.
Yep, absolutely.
But all right, Joe.
It also deals with when you beam down on somebody else's planet, you can get wrapped up in their crap.
Yeah.
Well, when you hear a 710, just move along.
Honor the 710.
That's right.
And always pull into orbit at maximum phasor range.
That's right.
Just in case.
With that, Admiral.
Just in case.
Beam us out of here. Don't get any better than that.
Been on Trek. That's a wrap.